Hey, this is Ryan of Happy Healthy Vegan. Well, I realize it's been a really long time, maybe a year, I gotta take a look, since I last shared with you guys what kind of training do I actually do on a daily basis as a high-carb vegan. I hope it's not too boring. I always find it quite insightful to take a look at what other people are doing, so I thought I'd share with you what I've been doing right now as of late. For sure, the sport that I spent the most energy on for the past several years now has got to be running, coupled with cross-training with cycling, which I'll get into in a moment or two. But yeah, running is awesome. It's so free. I mean, it's cheap. It's free. All you need are a pair of shoes. You don't even need to have fancy running shoes. You don't need to buy an expensive bike or have expensive court fees for tennis or basketball. You don't even have to drive anywhere. You just walk right outside of where you're at, where your house is, where your work is, where you're at on vacation. Super convenient. So it makes it really easy to be more consistent. And now I'm more consistent in my training back than when I was a hardcore basketball and tennis player. Take a look at my Strava records here, my training logs. The green circles represent runs and the gray circles represent bike rides. And as you can see here, the activities I've been doing for the past year, super consistent. I'm out there almost every day doing something. And if you look on the left-hand column, how many hours I put in that week, pretty consistent, about 5+ hours a week on average. Some weeks 7, some weeks 3.5. It all depends on what's going on. But that's the key to staying fit, I think, is being consistent over time. And speaking of consistency, look here for the entire past 12 months. These blue bars here average about 5 hours a week. And the year before that, again, about 5 hours a week. And even before that, still. So consistency is big. So as you see, I'm out there hitting it quite often. But what am I doing exactly? Because anyone could just go out and run all the time, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, I do that a lot when I'm in my base training mode, which I usually do every winter from like November to February, where I just run slow miles, just letting the body kind of reheal itself from all the abuse and pounding that I put it through from the prior few months. And then right now I'm in what I call like the building phase. It kind of models Arthur Lydiard. He's a famous running coach, if you want to Google him. Anyway, I'm doing a lot more hill work right now. So I'm running up hills, I'm sprinting my bike up hills and mountains, and it's building upon the base that I laid out in the winter time. So here's a rough week for me. I'll kind of go backwards. I always like to finish my week off Sunday with a long run. For me, a long run, minimum 10 miles. And I like to go longer, 13, 14 miles, assuming I got the time. I usually have the energy, but it's the time that's the factor. So I like to get in that one long run per week. I also like to get in just like one easy run, maybe like, a 7-mile run, just going at a nice slow pace, no worries in the world. I also like to get in one day of hill sprints. I have this hill here in Long Beach. It's about 300 meters long, and I like to sprint up the thing, do intervals up it. And then I like to do one tempo run a week, and that's what I usually do with my Wednesday running group. And then I actually like to get out there on the bike one day and go climbing Signal Hill here. It's about a 320-foot climb, and do some intervals up and down that. So that's kind of like my weekly routine, ideally. So you might wonder, what am I training for? Am I going for some marathon or a big 5K or something like that? No, not at all. I'm just training to get to the best peak conditioning that I can possibly be. I'm mirroring what I did exactly last year. I followed the same pattern of base miles in the wintertime and strengthening in the spring like now to peak in May, June, and July. I remember last year, May, June, and July, I went out and busted all my personal records like on a weekly basis. I didn't have to enter races. I would just go down to my local track here and bust out miles, see what my PR on a mile is, or a 5K or 10K. And I can do that all by myself for free. But I did enter one half marathon, a local one, about 55 odd people during that peak of mine, and I got third place, so I was pretty stoked to get a podium placing there. So that's what I'm aiming for this year. Coming May, June, July, I'm hoping to push through all those personal records from last year. I do have to admit, though, I find personally doing the same sport kind of over and over, day in, day out, for me, kind of gets a little boring, even a little depressing. It almost seems kind of monotonous. Maybe that's because I'm not trying to train to become like a professional or win some big race or anything like that. I have modest goals at my age here of 48. I have no illusions of becoming a professional athlete. So that's why I still like to do lots of other sports too. I'm very passionate about basketball, if you haven't noticed. I kind of share that with you from time to time. I've been playing that since I was like a wee little boy. I just played last night. First time I played in about a month. It's an incredible cross training. Do all these movements that you would never do while riding a bike or running, like jumping in the air or moving side to side, fighting through a pick and roll on defense. So that's really my passion. If I could play basketball almost every day, I would probably give up running again, but it's more complicated getting the courts scheduled and finding people to play with. So, running's awesome. I'm totally happy with that right now. And surfing. I've been surfing again too since I was a wee little boy. I'm just taking advantage of I'm grateful for where I live here in Southern California, all the great outdoor activities that are available to me. So yeah, if I were really focused on one sport like some athletes are, and I appreciate watching great athletes do their thing, cool, but I'm not that kind of guy. I'd rather be like, competent at 5-6 sports and enjoy them all and keep variety. I notice my body responds very well to variety and very not well to monotony, doing the same thing day in and day out. So it's great cross training to go out there and paddling out on your surfboard one day, playing basketball later on that night, and then riding your bike and run on the next few days. So that's how I roll here. I'm just trying to be a happy, healthy vegan, really fit freaking vegan for 48, and that's what I'm up to here. So post your questions and comments down below. Do you have any tips for me as far as my training goes? Anything I could do to tweak it? Remember, I don't have that much time. I only have about, 5-6 hours a week. Not much more I can sneak in there, at least not right now. And share your tips with me. I'd be curious to see what you're doing. I'm really interested in people like me who are doing lots of cross training, not just focusing on one sport. So I'd like to hear what you guys are doing. If you got something on this video, hit like and share it with a friend who needs to start exercising a little bit more. So until next time, hit subscribe if you're new, and keep it carb and keep it fit. Hey guys, as I'm editing this video, I realized I left out kind of two important things that I do on a regular basis too. One is I do yoga about twice a week. It's a custom kriya that I came up with myself just to kind of work on getting the body more recovered than it would otherwise. And secondly, I do upper body strength exercises, maybe 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a week, just to get some gains up there so I don't look too out of whack because I have pretty big calves and quads.